Welcome to Snakes and Otters, a pointless discussion of eternal questions. Get ready, we're about to live in your head rent-free. Hello, Otterites. This is episode 146.
I am Martin.
And I'm Robert.
And I'm Francis.
This is Code of Honor, boys. Code of Honor.
Always wonderful.
One of the best episodes. I was very excited to find out I was the one captaining this, because as you know, I don't really look at the schedule before the show starts. I know I'm really bad about that, but it seems to work for me.
Well, and you're the one who brought the scheduling tool to us.
I know, and
we like it so much. So I need to have somebody take over, I think.
I know, I do need to spend some more time, because, I need to do what you guys have done for the past 2.5 years. Put the schedule together the way I want it.
Well, absolutely. You can.
Because we've, there's only, I think, 20 more episodes currently on the production schedule.
Really? Oh, yeah, I definitely need to get
in the tool, in the Trello tool.
Yeah.
So I need to have somebody pick up at 162 and keep going.
Holy mackerel. When I originally wrote the thing out years ago, we had so much fecundity and ideas. We had, 2 years planned, and we're almost finished with that plan?
No, because I have not moved everything from your original document schedule to the Trello. So that's what we need to do.
Okay, I will see if I can squeeze that in.
I thought we had more time for that.
Yes, I think we had out to almost 200 lined out, or at least to 180.
Yeah.
So I think there's another 20 episodes.
Well into 2023, yeah.
Yeah. So there are things that just need to be translated, and I haven't done it yet, or transferred to the new tool. So now that Francis is got his Trello running, he could also add them as well.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think we
straggled a bit.
I think we should have, as far as adding things to Trello, other than transferring, you boys need to take a break. That's all I'm saying.
I will do that.
Well,
and if you want to take over the transferring and shuffle them around,
I need to do some more of that because one, I need to take on fair share of my responsibilities.
Yeah.
But also to squeeze in some of my, the boys are indulging me this week.
Well, you
again
never do
and
that
again and
because...
again and again and again. I mean, I don't know. We indulged you guys, both of you.
Yeah.
For a year straight, it seemed. So
we were putting stuff on there,
yeah,
that we liked.
So not that I'm complaining. I'm just pointing out that
because you could have indulged at any time.
Well, that would require me to actually do prep work, and that seems to go against what I have been, how I have been taking my part in this show. Yes, how wooed.
I do like the Trello tool that you brought us, Robert.
Yeah, it is great.
It works really nice for what we're doing.
Yeah,
really helpful. Really nice visual of what's been accomplished, what is yet to come.
Yeah, it's an agile tool, basically.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah. And it helps collect meta themes and things like that.
Yes, it really is a great tool.
Run through. And
so Trello, the check needs to be made out to Snakes and Otters, and just send it to us.
That's right. We just did some free advertising.
We've never done that. We never started Snakes and Otters LLC so that we can start accepting payments.
That's true.
Are we gonna incorporate in the Seychelles or someplace, right? Canary Islands, Panama, someplace with some banking secrecy laws.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Offshore accounts, shell.
We don't want our real names attached, but no crypto. No crypto.
Well, if we get crypto, let's dump it immediately.
Well, yes.
Because you get it and then you can turn it into cash money.
Well, turn it into gold and silver and
there you go,
stuff like that, because that stuff. Because paper money, I don't have a whole lot of stock in that, but that is way more a rabbit hole than I want to go into.
So you're not really ready to start dumping Snakes and Otters funds into IPOs or anything, right?
Not just yet.
Okay,
not just yet. I guess it would depend on the IPO.
I'm a very conservative investor, so that's not usually where I go.
Yeah. It really depends on which one we're talking about. So
long-term growth rather than immediate cash out.
Exactly. Well, we need to plan for retirement. Although, if we cash out enough, we could retire.
This is my retirement plan. I'm hoping this turns into something. I'm hoping that all these influencers, they turn these things into television shows and.
That sounds like an awful lot of work, though.
MC jobs and stuff like that. Hey, I want to MC a game show.
I don't know. I'm kind of
there you go.
Kind of comfortable sitting right where we're at. You're down here in the
real Snakes and Otters
Studio
of
M,
Kentucky.
Yeah, here in Studio M. You're
comfy chairs and couches. Yeah, this is. It ain't hard, boys. It's just all you got to have is a fertile brain.
Well, I hope that's not what she said.
We haven't done a sexual innuendo joke in a long time, and of course it's going to be my expense.
4 episodes at least.
Right.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah. All
right.
Well, I mean, you laid that one out there.
It was there. You had to use it. I understand that.
Yeah,
that's right.
All right. So, code of honor.
That's right. Palate cleanse, boys.
Yes, Captain's getting us back on track.
5 minutes into it, we're finally getting back to what we're talking about here. So, code of honor, where we each pick a quotation, something we either really admire, really want to live by, or just think is pretty damn funny. And today,
sometimes
all of those, yeah,
absolutely, yeah,
combination.
It can be funny and still be something to live by.
Yes, matter of fact, I think those are the best.
Yeah,
and so I've decided at Francis's urging to make Martin go first.
Excellent. All right, so I am going to the founders with this one. So Samuel Adams,
excellent, and
he was quite the, what would you call it? Agitator?
Firebrand,
agitator.
Great brewer, too. Yes.
I'd like to tump things over. And was, would you call it an iconoclast? Would that be an apt description?
He's become one.
In a very loose way. I mean, he's not actually smashing icons, but...
No, but he was very much about smashing British rule. I mean, he was one of the more radical of the founding fathers.
Yes, he aligned more along the Patrick Henry group.
Yeah.
It was very, very radical.
Yeah, he was less
Thomas
concerned
Paine,
with the governing after, so much as just getting rid of the British.
That's right.
He would have been a great libertarian.
Yes,
just get out of here.
Quite the.
Get back across the pond and leave us alone.
Yeah, the guiding light of libertarians for sure. I think. So my quote is: "It is a very great mistake to imagine that the object of loyalty is the authority and interest of one individual man, however dignified by the applause or enriched by the success of popular actions."
Ooh.
So I really love that.
Do that one again.
You want to hear it again?
Well, it's a bit long.
It's long, yeah. You got to do it again.
So yeah, I think you need to do that one again. But
Yes.
it's a good one.
Well, and it's in that great eloquence of the colonial period,
Yes.
the revolutionary period. These are very learned men, even sometimes self-taught learned men. So, Samuel Adams, it is a very great mistake to imagine that the object of loyalty is the authority and interest of one individual man, however dignified by the applause or enriched by the success of popular actions. You know, so much of the political history of many nations is tied to that cult of personality.
Yes.
That one man, that you guys are your favorite, one man with a vision. And here's this patriot saying, nope, it's not about one person. No matter what all that person does, how successful he was.
No matter how much others admire him.
Yes, it's not about that.
It mustn't be about
Yes.
that. I'm not sure. Not to say it hasn't been.
Yes,
but it
the
mustn't be.
object of loyalty must be to the systems that we put in place here.
The ideals, not
to
the
this
man.
nation, to this unity of all of us, to the people. That's who the authority comes from, not from that one person, no matter how successful or how much you appreciate. Because success is a nebulous term anyway.
Oh, yes.
You know, any president can say, I was a success. Were you? Oh. Don't hitch your wagon to that one person's success, no matter how much you appreciated what was accomplished.
That's what Hitler tried to do, basically. He, as the Fuhrer, his cult of personality around him, you were loyal to him.
Well, that's the standard MO.
And he
That's
went
right.
even farther.
Yeah.
Because he made it explicit.
Correct. That's right.
The army, at one point, had to swear allegiance to him, not to the German nation or to the German people, as it had been in the past, but you swore allegiance to
The
Hitler.
Fuhrer. That's
Yes.
right. Adolf Hitler.
But up until Hitler, and certainly still to an extent afterwards on the despot side of the political spectrum, though that is the norm. That's where do you think we get divine right of kings? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. The king is the country.
I am the state. That's Louis
I am 14, the state, as Louis said. And
say it in French for me, please.
I can't. I don't.
L'estate est roi.
I believe that's correct.
Something close. Okay.
With that little bit of a southern accent there.
Yeah. Bourbon. Yes.
But that's that cult of personality has always been the norm up until we get to the United States. I think the United States starts to change that.
Yeah.
Well, that's why
because we are the only.
But he is also warning that it can happen here.
Oh yes, absolutely. Because we're still in our fledgling infancy there. We're not even born when he becomes the rabble rouser that he is. We're still trying to climb out of the womb of Britain, so to speak, and.
The womb?
The womb, yes. It's a womb. But, that it really was the norm. Because you power coalesced around the one who was willing to seize it. And that's what the systems were based on. The United States was the first system built upon the intentional, peaceful transfer of power.
Yeah.
Since Rome.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. And
because even to a degree, the Venetian republics or the other Italian republics are
the city-states.
They're not even really transferring power. They lasted for the extent of one person.
Well,
and then
either that or
they were gone again.
Passed to the family to a family member.
Yeah.
In the case of Florence.
Yeah.
But even so, it's still not. It's not always a peaceful transfer. And since it's a designated heir, it's still not really a transfer of power. It's a continuance of the previous regime in many ways.
That's right.
So
certainly their experience is they are. Well, they're not even at this point. They're not removed even from somebody like Napoleon. That becomes part of their experience,
right?
30 years later.
What Napoleon is actually a very great example of this, because when he comes back from Elba, the coalition, of course, rises again against him. They declare war on him, not on the state,
not on France,
and that's a very, very important point here, because he is seen as a usurper, which he kind of always was.
An international criminal by that point.
By that point. They were willing to give him a pass before and send him into quote-unquote honorable exile on Elba, where he was considered to be the head of state. He was able to. He was given that, and once he proved false with that, once he didn't keep his word and came back, that's when they said, "All right, you were the problem," and that's why they sent him to a little.
Blofeld.
Well, yeah, they sent him to a little shithole of an island out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean that you just can't, with nothing but dampness and rats, and a British governor.
I was just going to say, it's not unlike some parts of England.
Yeah, that's what I said.
But this quote...
No offense to our British brothers and sisters.
That's right. Certainly there are many, many historical episodes and historical figures. He's influenced by all of that. But I think this also means a lot today.
Oh, absolutely. No question.
Absolutely.
It's one of those things that should be printed at the top of ballots before every national election.
Whether you're talking Hillary or Obama or Trump or AOC.
Certainly, admittedly, the first person that I think of reading that is Trump.
Absolutely.
Because a great deal of his support is...
the cult of personality.
It's what populism is built on. Is this one person who can claim some measure of success and adoration, and therefore you should always support me no matter what I do.
Right. In a way, it's almost like a kinder, gentler version of this divine right of kings notion, where God has ordained me to be this, therefore you must follow me. Instead, it's wow, I'm so really great that you should follow me.
Yeah. Tremendous.
And
it's Steve Jobs is a very similar type of thing too.
Oh yes,
it's exactly the same thing.
Practically anybody. Elon Musk.
Yes, that's correct.
He's got the same cult of personality
very much
going on.
And a lot of these things are imitatable just for that reason. Elizabeth Holmes is a great example. She tried to be the new Steve Jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, my Lord, you want to talk about a mess.
Oh, what a disaster. That whole she made a great giant mess.
Absolutely.
Sucked a lot of people into her gravity.
All for that naked ambition that she had to be this billionaire, which, you know, for one brief shining moment she was, and then all of a sudden you realize it's a complete Ponzi scheme. It's not even that. It's false.
It was a popcorn fart.
A popcorn fart.
Wow,
that's very
dry.
Write
that down. That needs to be put somewhere in the lexicon. Popcorn fart.
That's a Caddyshack. That's a Rodney Dangerfield.
I don't remember that one. Is that buttered popcorn, or is it, what kind of pop?
If
butter certainly contributes.
Well, yeah, that's a less dry version. Let's just put it that way.
So
rabbit hole.
But yeah, it's definitely one that it's a lesson that should never ever be forgotten.
Right, and I am a person that I feel like takes a middle course on.
Everybody feels like they take a middle course.
On Trump in particular. Like, to me, he's not this giant outlaw figure, but I also see this side of it of he cultivates this idea of, I'm so awesome, I can't make a mistake. Right. You have to follow me, and people will buy into that.
What's amazing to me, as far as the Trump movement goes, is that you've got somebody who is a billionaire, has made money off of deals and even how he gets out of paying his debts with the multiple bankruptcies and what have you, in a way that the common people who support him have absolutely no connection to.
Yeah.
Either the ability to understand. I mean, we're all pretty damn smart, and I don't think any one of us could really detail in any coherent way how the man has made his money. Because it's just on the one hand, it's a black box, but on the other hand, it's just so nonsensical.
He seems to make money even when he fails.
Right.
Yeah,
which some people say, well, that's just good business. It's like, well, that's a little shady.
Yeah.
But
I'm not about to devote any of my mental real estate to such issues like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
But my point is, though,
we could figure it out if we really wanted to. But
how do these people relate to him other than he tells them he's great?
Yeah,
and they believe it.
Again,
and maybe he is.
Elections are generally a binary choice.
Yes.
You often have to hold your nose and vote for the person you have the least disdain for. And I can intellectualize that and get there when I need to. But it doesn't lessen my disdain for the cult of personality or P.J. O'Rourke put it, and I'm probably using a quote I shouldn't use, I should save for later, but it's a very similar expression of the same idea. And it's just a very straightforward, let's see, I think I have it in my notes here, but it's just, the adoration of a head of state is a grim transgression against republicanism. Small r, republicanism.
Right.
Yeah.
The adoration of a head of state. Yeah, I like that.
So that's a more straightforward expression of the same idea.
Yeah, he was definitely channeling Sam there.
Yeah, so I really love that one too.
That's probably a better
should have
one.
saved it. Yeah.
Well, no, but you know what? That's probably a better version of that same quote because it's essentially saying the same thing.
Yes.
But it's more understandable and doesn't take so long to parse through your head.
To get through there, yeah. A desire to adore a head of state is a grim transgression against republicanism. And I think at the root, that's what I feel like I am. I want to feel like I am a defender of small r republicanism.
Right.
The republic, despite its flaws, is the best form of government possible.
Right. Well, or as somebody once said, it's the worst form of government except for all of the
other ones. People say that democracy, blah, 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 I think even better than a constitutional monarchy is the republic. It is the form of government that works. The thing to guard against is it is possible for someone to emerge after popular success as someone to be adored. and it's easy to desire that, desire to adore them, easy to appreciate their accomplishments and successes. But remember, we need for that person to walk off the stage, but we also need to desire that person walks off the stage. It's important for the long-term health of the republic.
You have to pull a Washington.
Yeah, and we have to want that.
Yeah.
We have to want Washington to leave. We have to want Eisenhower to be done and leave.
Yes. Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say. The problem is the person who is being adored has to want to leave. Well, and I don't just mean leave office. I mean shut up and go home.
Leave the stage.
Leave the stage.
Leave the stage.
Traditionally, that's what most presidents have done after they have left office. Mm-hmm. Is certainly for the first several years, they don't comment on their successor. That has not been true for the last two outgoing office holders.
Yep.
And that's a dangerous thing because all it does is gin up the hatred and the animosity. And part of that's because the last two have been adored beyond, I don't say beyond their station, but beyond what is correct and proper.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point because surprisingly, it feels like Obama's so far in the past, it's easy to forget. There was a lot of adoration.
Absolutely.
So, I want to be equal in criticizing here. We're going to criticize Trump, let's criticize Obama too. It's two sides of that same coin. There were people, he would make these pronouncements, the oceans are going to heal, but people also fed into that.
Right.
They
he won
loved
a Nobel Peace Prize for getting elected.
Yeah, essentially for being popular enough to get elected, to get enough votes. There were no real accomplishments behind that award.
You know what this is, don't you? You know what this is. Pagan idolatry, man. Pagan idolatry.
Well, yeah.
Seriously,
it is.
I'm making that kind of as a joke, but that's exactly what
it is.
That's exactly what you're talking about here. It's exactly what Colonel Kurtz was doing in Apocalypse Now. It's pagan idolatry. Literally, enough people are giving this reputation to a particular person based solely on the adulation or idolatry. That's what they're doing. They're idolizing this person. How the hell does that happen?
Well, it's circle jerk in this way. It's an Ouroboros circle jerk. It's isn't that great?
Yeah,
it is the head eating the tail. Okay,
yeah.
That's the Ouroboros, and it is it both feeds and grows from this demonizing the enemy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it is two sides of the same coin, because you latch on that enemy, whether it's Trump or Obama or Biden or AOC or Hillary or John McCain or whoever, doesn't matter. When you latch onto that singular enemy, it's usually because you've got a singular savior.
Yeah,
which is what Colonel Kurtz does in the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
It's always important to remember that these people, no matter their accomplishments, they're only humans, and humans suck.
Pretty much. As the heathen likes to remind us, we are fallen creatures.
Yes.
Which, most heathens would not be willing to admit that.
We are fallen creatures. We are sinful. And pride, hubris, our favorite word,
that's right.
is the root of that. And I was just listening to our last Code of Honor, and we covered some of this very same ground, so I thought this would plug right in and flow from that last episode.
Well, that's just a phenomenal quote, especially as we head into this election year. It's a good thing to remember. Yeah. It's almost a shame you didn't save that for October. Or something,
Well, inspiration comes where it comes.
Yeah.
That's true. It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So it definitely.
This is in the cloud, so it lives forever. Hopefully, people will come back to this next October and
the internet
re-listen.
is forever. Yeah.
So I think that brings us to Francis, because as we know, Robert goes last.
Robert goes last. Yes, the hammer. Totally different. And
no, for something completely different.
That's right. It has, and it's.
But is it different?
No, actually, it is.
Human wisdom.
I'm going in
is a thread.
I know, but mine is totally not political at all. Or even,
everything's political.
Or even Yeah.
That's by
Just
Orwell.
Yes.
That's another one I got. I'm saving that one
You're
too.
saving that one. All right. Yeah. Well,
So Martin's being the contrarian again.
in honor of our next episode, which is on G.K. Chesterton, I'm pulling a Chesterton quote. We've not used Chesterton in Code of Honor.
Which is shocking, considering we're 146 episodes
That's right.
in.
We've never done Chesterton. This just makes no sense to me. And
Frank
there's a
Sinatra, but not
gazillion.
Chesterton.
I mean, my God, the man is one of the most quotable individuals. Robert and I were talking about that earlier. He's like Mark Twain in many ways. He's got this acerbic bite to him with this humor and yet this profundity that's just freaking amazing.
He dealt in aphorisms.
Yeah, very much so.
Much like a Nietzsche or something, but just on the other side of the fence.
Well, he's not that far removed in history from Nietzsche.
Yeah.
Or Twain.
Or Twain. You go Twain, Nietzsche, Chesterton as far as the timeline. But although Twain covers,
he was
his
rather
contemporary.
he's contemporary with both of them, really, because he lived longer than Nietzsche. But it's of an era. Is basically
We
what
talk
I'm
about an interesting dinner party.
Oh my gosh!
Mark Twain on one side of the table, Friedrich Nietzsche on the other, and then the three of us sitting there
with Chesterton.
with Chesterton.
Yeah, you gotta have GK.
That's a big table. Six people.
Be all right.
Well, some of those guys are pretty big. GK's no small man.
So I mean, we'd have to really lay out the barbecue.
We would, yes.
You think,
now, I think
you
GK
think
could
Nietzsche would
appreciate
eat
that.
pulled pork?
GK, I guarantee you. I mean,
But Nietzsche would Nietzsche eat pulled pork? You think?
Wasn't he a vegetarian?
Maybe.
Well, I mean,
if
who
you're
knows
asking
over there?
if Nietzsche is predictable on certain things, the answer is probably no.
But you know what? I bet he's very predictable on certain things.
No, that's correct. It's
I mean, Europeans. I mean, what do they even eat anyway? Lettuce and
well, he's German, so sauerkraut and
okay.
Sausage.
Well, in
Sausage.
that case, well then,
sausage and beer
All
and
right.
sauerkraut. Yeah.
Okay, so we could
Pretzels
we
and
could
cheese.
Pretzels and
we had GK,
He likes some
Twain-
bangers and mash.
yeah, and Nietzsche. We could definitely serve
smoked sausage.
no. Why am I drawing a blank on this food?
Because you're 55.
Yes.
Sauerbraten?
No.
Hassenpfeffer.
Crap.
Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of food we're
Oh,
talking.
I am so
Chili
sorry,
soup.
sir.
No.
Stews.
The breaded pork.
breaded pork.
Yeah, that you cook in a little bit of oil. You flatten it. I mean, we've eaten in German restaurants before.
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about. It's not schnitzel.
Yes, it is.
It is schnitzel?
Spinach schnitzel.
Okay.
Okay, we're not German, so how are we supposed to know this stuff?
Well, but we ate at the
Schnitzelbank.
Schnitzelbank in Jasper, Indiana, and that's what I had was Schweine Schnitzel.
Oh, okay.
I think Nietzsche would eat the Schweine Schnitzel, and
Pretty sure GK would eat anything you put in
and
front of
GK
him.
would do it, and so and Twain probably would as well.
Well, he was a world traveler, so he
would.
he
would
wasn't.
try.
Well, that's back also over 100 years ago. People would just eat whatever you put in front of them.
Yeah.
They weren't as picky as we were. They ate more things than we eat.
So that would be quite the dinner party, and we could serve Schweine Schnitzel, and I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But I interrupted you, Francis.
Well,
Please
that's
continue.
quite all right
Yes.
because
So
Rabbit
GK.
hole.
we're we
A Hassenpfeffer hole.
That's it. Does sound pretty good though. A little
Hassenpfeffer,
Hassenpfeffer,
yeah.
good. Gotcha. Anyway, G.K. Chesterton.
Yes.
Very brief, so it's not as long as your quote. That's for sure. Art consists of limitation. The most beautiful part of every picture is the frame.
Ooh, interesting.
Art consists of limitation. The most beautiful part of every picture is the frame. See, I told you it was going to be completely different.
Yeah. So I mean, that's
We've not
the
done
idea,
this one here.
The idea of seeing more than what's in front of you, of being able to. These are the limits, but what else is there?
Well, if you think about it, the human eye automatically limits everything. So everything is a snapshot in some fashion for the way we humans interact with the world.
Well, just physically, biologically, when we look at something, we can only focus on a very small segment of what's in front of us. When I look at Francis, I have the knowledge that there is a television screen over off to my left. But if I were to try and focus on him and that, I could not hold the details of all of that in my mind, because my mind would go crazy.
Multitasking is an absolute illusion, but that's another subject. We can talk about that another time. But art is what we're talking about there. It's all about limitation. In other words, and I think about this from a writing perspective, you have to have a story to tell. You have to deliberately put it within a box.
And moving outside of the story to include things that don't matter.
Well, it breaks the story.
Well, then it doesn't exist. It's broken. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Same as the picture. You choose what to put in there. You don't expand it. You're not supposed to. It's meant to be that.
Well, depending on what you're doing, you could also put it this way. You choose what to take out of there.
That's right. Yeah. If which I'm just looking at the picture that's sitting there hanging above Martin's head. It's a landscape, but it was chosen. In other words, limitation.
This is the piece you want to convey to the viewer.
It is deliberate.
Or the reader.
That's right, and he calls it limitation. But it's deliberate limitation.
Well, and I think he's obviously he's talking metaphorically here. He's not talking literal. Just like not literally cheesemakers, any manufacturers of dairy products.
That's right.
The frame is not so much that it's a gilded frame, but the beauty in the art is that the artist has specifically chosen the limitations that you get that they are presenting. That is the beauty of it, because good art, I think, is a deliberate choiest.
It is.
Bad art, I always go back to Jackson Pollock as my proto example of the best example of bad art. You're talking about he's the guy who drips the paint on the canvases from 20 feet above.
Yeah.
The first time you do that, that's interesting. It might even be pretty. Doesn't mean a damn thing.
Well, yeah.
You might come up with a meaning as far as the process goes. Okay?
Yeah. He's attempting to go beyond the limits.
But without purpose.
But without the limits, it's meaningless.
Well,
right.
That's what Chesterton is saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to break the limits makes no sense.
Right. It's like the guy who paints a canvas white and says calls it polar bear in a snowstorm.
Mm-hmm.
It's meaningless.
Yeah. Or
other than
White Rabbit in the Snowstorm.
White Rabbit.
Well, that's from the Netflix series Daredevil.
Yes.
Kingpin buys that, and he can't stop staring at that painting.
Which just goes to show he's not nearly as smart and sophisticated as he thinks he is.
Well, and it's
a desire to be seen as that.
Well, that's correct,
yes.
And that's that whole first season is that's one of those meta themes that runs through that. And I'm just kind of, as you mentioned, I'm thinking, that's kind of showing Much Ado About Nothing.
That makes me really want to watch the show because it's Vincent D'Onofrio.
You betcha, absolutely.
So does a fantastic job.
Seeing him wade through that scene about that would be amazing.
Well, yeah, it's not, and it's several scenes. I mean, he's obsessed with it throughout that whole first season, and it's a fantastic way of getting inside his head, because he's showing that the harder he tries to be conventional, the more unconventional he becomes.
Well, yeah, the Kingpin has always sought to be accepted.
Right.
It was never enough for him to be the kingpin of crime. It's like, currently in the comics, he's the mayor of New York City. Which, just like Lex Luthor became president of the United States.
It's brilliant, absolutely. It's a really good way of...
It's a way of finding broader acceptance.
Yes, because it's an inferiority complex. He wants the approval of others while saying he doesn't need the approval of others.
That's right.
But he does.
And it's in the paradox, there's the power.
Yes. But back to this whole thing about the frame and the... what is art and all of that. The frame is the structure. I mean, you look at it so many different ways. The frame is the structure.
Mm-hmm.
As Francis and I both know, and Martin, certainly you have been right there with us as we talk about what elements make a good story for the things that we are writing. By the way, have you started working any more on the story idea that is still noodling around? Okay,
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we are all aspiring authors here.
Yeah,
aspiring to be published. We are all authors.
Well, right.
I do need to do as you advise and really get something down.
Yes, I'm shaking my finger at him.
Yes,
thou must. It don't exist until it's on paper or on a screen.
I'm internalizing the disapprobation of Francis here. He's absolutely right. I need to get this somehow
as Stevie K says, writers write.
Well, and as Joe Straczynski says, our Mercedes Lackey, one or the other, ideas are worthless. Everybody has those. It's the execution of what you can do with it that matters.
Yeah, I need to start cobbling together the disparate ideas I have.
Absolutely, and
story.
come up with something.
And even if it's just the character outlines and where I want this thing to go, I need to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just start, and
I do appreciate having the outlet of Martin Monday, though. That's helping me.
Okay, that's right. That's right. Yeah, snakesandhunters.com, folks.
Yeah.
Martin is the most faithful of the posters.
Yes.
I don't hit every Monday,
but damn close.
But I do like to get, even if it's just something 3 paragraphs.
Yeah, you're not afraid to do short. I don't know that I can do short. I don't think I ever have. I think mine are usually significant in length. That's just and I don't do as many.
And certainly mine are very, very long. So,
yeah. But so don't be afraid to be brief. Just kick it out. Get it out of yourself. I had to get this most recent one out. Frances averred that
here we go.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service
to do this online,
is the greatest Bond movie, and I had to smack that down. I just couldn't contain myself. I shook all weekend waiting to put that out on Monday.
Yes, you had it pre-written and ready to go.
It was all up here.
You were quite rude, sir.
It was a stinker.
Oh, I don't know that he was rude, but he was definitely blunt.
It was a point-by-point refutation. I mean, I laid out definitively the failings of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. But I also put out that there are a couple of virtues, chief among them Diana Rigg. Well, luminous, I believe I termed her.
Diana Rigg will, take just about anything and make it better. I mean
she could make a ham sandwich into Picasso, baby.
Yeah, yep. Yes, she is one of the greatest artists of her time.
I mean, yes, she was an absolutely stunning woman in the day. But she was also a phenomenal actress.
Very accomplished, tremendous
actress. It still boggles my mind to translate Diana Rigg in The Avengers to Diana Rigg in Game of Thrones.
The Queen of Thorns, yes.
Yes.
Which was a meaty part, and she just absolutely was one of the great moments.
She was so good with that.
As she was with everything she did.
As many flaws as the Julius Caesar that Charlton Heston was in, Jason Robards, not a good Brutus. But Diana Rigg as Portia is, whoa!
Yeah,
I mean, just breathtaking.
Yes, she was truly a genius at her craft in a time when women were usually nothing more than something pretty to look at on screen, and she was both.
Yeah, perhaps we should raise a glass since it's right at that moment. It seems like
yes,
you both got glasses.
Well, to break.
Okay, Captain.
It just seemed logical as the right moment because she has. It wasn't that long ago when she passed, but we did not recognize her. We should have. We often do that, and we've kind of jumped into it thanks to Martin here. But perhaps we should have our bourbon break.
Take back over, Captain.
Yes. So, well, it seems pointless now. I mean, we've already at the bourbon break, and we're raising a glass. So,
well, tell us what you have.
So I have some of Martin's Michter's, which is a very, very fine bourbon.
I see you've already, snaked down the 2 fingers that I poured you pretty much all gone.
Well,
so it must be super smooth.
Pretty good, yeah. I would. I don't think any bourbon is a gulping bourbon. If you gulp your bourbon, you should be shot, metaphorically speaking. But this is such a grand sipping bourbon.
You should have a finger wagged at you the way Francis does me.
Well, you metaphorically wagged your finger at him over the James Bond.
It was more than a finger wag, but we won't go there. I'm drinking Michter's as well.
Yes. So I told you recently. Maybe it was. I don't know if I did it if we talked about it on air, but when I was taking Sir Bosco to the vet last month. It was right before we did our recordings for the month, and as we're going to Shively Animal Clinic, which is where we take him, and as we're going there, we pass where Michter's ages. I presume that's just where they age. I'm sure they do the brewing somewhere else in the city, but their brick house is somewhere just there, between 7th Street and Dixie. What is it? Not Warnock. I forget the name of the street.
Yes, I don't recall.
It's right there.
Been over that way in a while.
Yeah, I mean,
but I know a general area where you're talking about. Yes,
yeah, right there, just above where all the strip joints are, right before you get to Dismas House, and you just go down there from there to Dixie, or from Dixie over to 7th Street, and you'll pass it right there. And it's like, oh my gosh, I know that bourbon. That's really good bourbon.
And Michter's has a headquarters or a place to visit, part of the tour on Main Street,
right
near the Fraser Museum. So and the the Science Center? It's right across the street from the Science Center.
Oh.
So Michter's has a place to visit. We may have to go visit. It's very smooth.
Yes, I'm really liking this. This is really vaulted up there into the top 5 right now.
Yeah, it's it's at a price point that's higher than most that we've done. Certainly not super high price point.
No, but we generally can't afford those.
Yeah. So, but it's at about a $48 price point here locally.
Right.
Catch it on sale, $42.
Right. This is right up there with your Woodford Reserve Double Oaked.
Yeah. Now I don't have Double Oaked, but I am sipping on a glass of Woodford, and as we know, 200 flavor notes and all that good stuff. So, but Woodford's is very similar, super smooth, very flavorful. A little touch of citrus here and there, a little caramel. I'm sure people also get lots of other things, but
yeah,
it's good stuff.
Marvelous.
All right, so Robert, I think that brings us around to you, Lane.
So, say your quotes.
Oh goodness, I've already.
Because we have to sum up before I can go on to sum up.
Okay, hold on. Let me get it back out.
I can throw mine out while you're flipping.
Yes,
go
ahead.
Short one. Art consists of limitation. The most beautiful part of every picture is the frame.
So I am at Samuel Adams. It is a very great mistake to imagine that the object of loyalty is the authority and interest of one individual man, however dignified by the applause or enriched by the success of popular actions.
Very good stuff, boys. Very good stuff. So, because this is also the month we're doing GK, I too had thought, well, let's do a GK quote.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, there are so many. When you because as Martin, as you said, he wrote in aphorisms.
And was prolific on top.
And he also is a great author of fiction, the Father Brown series.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, PBS did 8 or 9 seasons of Father Brown. And what's the guy's name? He's been in just about every big thing. He was he was Ron's father in the Harry Potter series in the movies. He's been in just tons of stuff. I cannot remember his name.
I mean, the actor who played Father Brown?
Yeah.
Keep talking. We'll get it.
Anyways, so he's done the Father Brown mysteries, which were famously, or maybe not so famously, copied with the Father Dowling mysteries.
Yeah.
Here in the U.S. And
Mark Williams.
Mark Williams, thank you. Yes, Mark Williams, phenomenal actor. He really is. And there's just so much. And, normally I like to come up with something that is a good summation of what you guys have put out. And, one of the ones I thought about is kind of a take on the one that Francis has done. And it's almost too similar. So until you were going there, because I thought it really worked well with Martin's. So it was art, like morality, consists of drawing the line somewhere. Which but really that's almost too similar to what you have done. So instead, I think what I'm going to do is one of these two. So because I kind of do this on the fly. So as I'm kind of talking my
fly
to kind of figure this out, because I have a choice between two. So let's see.
Wasn't that a 1970s? That's Fly, Robin Fly, 1970s one-hit wonder from, I don't even remember who that was.
Well,
so
kind of dead air, so pick it up, bro.
Yeah. No, I'm
trying. I'm trying. We can break out into song here if you wish.
No, because I don't think anybody
I'm
wants
not much
to hear
of a
that.
tap dancer,
So I think I'm going to go with this one. Although the other one's a really close second. So if there were no God, there would be no atheists. Now, I like this for a lot of reasons. It obviously speaks to the theological stuff, so that you know me, I'm all over the theology. But it speaks to a lot of things. First of which I like, not related to what you guys have said so much as something I've often pointed out. Those who proudly profess to be atheists and how superior they are, believe in a system that is purely defined by the lack of belief in somebody else's system.
Yep.
Which I find both ironic and humorous, and also a bit undercutting in their argument.
So it's a paradox, much like the limitations of art.
It is. But it also, because it does speak to that, because you, in this way, because your belief is framed by something else entirely. Only in this way, for the atheists, I think it's in a very bad way, because their frame, they don't recognize the box that they've put themselves into, in my opinion. And, much like art, you put yourself in a box. The one, however, is good. When good art is done well, is good art. As we said, it has a purpose and a point. It says something.
And that purpose is inside the frame.
And it's inside the frame. Whereas with an
by
atheist,
definition.
By definition.
So you don't look outside the frame. There is a limit that they want you, the artist wants you to see.
But at the same time, it also takes you beyond the frame. Because it should expand your mind. Whereas with the atheist, they often say, all right, we are inside this frame because we don't believe there's anything outside the frame. So it's a self-defeating limit, in my opinion.
It is.
That's good. That's very good.
In that way. But it also, I think, relates, to Martin, to what you were talking about, because that cult of personality is, as Francis said, it is idolatry. It is a way of defining your political beliefs through the adoration of a god, a small g god, that you have created in some way. And yet, at the same time, you also create your opposition. Because the atheists are the ones who are against your particular idol. You are against somebody else's particular idol.
Yeah. In many ways, it is a false construct of human hubris. That you're constructing this box to put yourself in opposition to those who believe. You've constructed an adoration of a head of state, and you're trying to construct something outside the limits of the art, and it's all false. It's all a rabbit hole,
And irrelevant
rabbit hole.
Can be, yes. I think I think Francis' quote about the frame being the better part of the art is the best expression of where our two quotes fail. Mm-hmm. Because, and I don't know exactly, because again, we don't have any context for the quotes where we're choosing them from. But at least not for me. You probably went to Goodreads just like I did.
I did, exactly. Well,
it's a great place for quotes.
I knew I wanted to go to Chesterton. I found plenty, and that's where we went.
So there's not always context that goes with those. But all three of these things speak to a failure, or the potential failure of human imagination.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's a good way to put it.
The potential failure of human imagination.
The artifice of hubris, but yes, the failure of imagination is also a very good one. The idea that all you're seeing is this adoration of this person, and think that that's the only path forward.
Yes, and the atheist sees the lack of something else
is the only
way forward.
Only path forward. It's a lack of imagination that yes, the Republic can survive without without this person,
right? Without Der Fuhrer, or without the president, or without the king, or whatever.
Without us lowering the oceans, or huge. I'm huge. I'm tremendous. That kind of stuff. You have to have the imagination to see that there is a future possible without those people.
Right, and those
Well
who look at art and because I think it's very easy to misinterpret the Chesterton quote about the frame being the best part, meaning that, and he may have actually meant this because modern art at the time could have been, depending on when he said that, could have been at a point in time when it was going into some really crazy stuff. Still not as crazy as it has gotten.
It would have been at the point of probably Francis Bacon, Chagall, Picasso, Cubism, Braque,
certainly
that kind of era probably is what's influencing him.
Could very well be. Now, certainly, I would look back on most of that stuff, and I can still see the greatness of it. Like I said, modern day art, not so much. But probably everybody says that about modern day art.
Yeah.
Whatever their particular model day is.
I mean, certainly.
But you could take that frame and misinterpret. You could misinterpret the comment about it as meaning that it's all crap. But I think the mistake there is the same mistake people make when they adore the leader, and when they say that there is nothing. All of this is accidental. It came out of nothing. He's got a similar quote. We're talking about how crazy it is to think. The atheists think that everything came out of nothing, or that God created everything came out of God. I forget the exact quote, but just as crazy to think everything came out of nothing, that spontaneously came out of nothing. Which is, it's a fair point. What's the uncaused cause? But if you misinterpret this thing about the frame, you think that anything outside of your particular box that you have put yourself in is the problem, and that's not what GK was saying. And that's it's kind of the same thing here. He's saying the atheists.
The best part of the picture can be what's in your imagination that's outside the frame.
Right, because what's inside the frame should lead you out, ultimately.
That's why the frame is so beautiful. It's stimulating your imagination to see the rest of the...
It's asking you, what if?
Yeah. What else is out there?
Right. What happens just on the other
side of
the
This beautiful pastoral scene, the other part of it that could be out there is Godzilla's about to trample on the... bucolic cottage in the woods.
But yeah, I think I'm kind of reaching here a little bit. Actually, I think Francis' quote does a better job of summarizing these things. But the atheist quote here, if there were no God, there would be no atheists. I think it's kind of a similar way of saying the same thing that you guys have said, as best as I can with this one. Because again, my quote was similar to the one that Francis took, which, not a problem.
Well, we both knew we were going to Chesterton.
Because we both went to Chesterton,
and that's why I wanted to go ahead and,
I always go last, so that's always the danger.
Yeah.
That's always the danger.
I think you did great because you're making a statement. Hubris puts you in a box.
Yeah.
It doesn't allow you to use your imagination, see beyond the frame, see beyond that leader you adore.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you've done great, Robert.
You probably summed it up better than I did.
I love this episode. You guys were tremendous. We did the first 20 minutes almost on my quote, and then we still got tremendous, money out of these two quotes. I love it. I love it.
Well, we always go back to the same themes, and I think that's with these episodes, we prove the existence of those eternal questions because
that's right.
We come back to them.
Yeah.
Or as we might have said in our Bellarmine days, those ultimate questions.
Yeah,
correct.
But I feel like this one really did branch us out beyond some of our other stuff.
Well, that's true. Yes,
this really tried to
different ways to look at things.
We need to make sure we don't always say the same things
right.
when we can say more.
Yeah.
Well, what I was trying to say is not so much that we were saying the same thing here, but a lot of these are just variations on similar themes, even though they're not expressed the same way.
Sure.
Obviously, Francis and I we spent a lot of time on man's relationship with God and one another, and the ramifications of that.
And mine often come down to man's relationship with other men,
right?
But I do think this. I love this episode already. Because I do think this was a step past that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think so.
I think it's well done, guys. I think you did great.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you do. I felt like that was probably one of my weaker summations, but as long as you guys are happy with it, I'm happy with it.
You did fine.
You did, yeah. I'm very pleased. So,
and we actually got through in less than an hour for our code of honor. I think that's pretty good.
pretty good. So I think you need to take us home, brother.
So, Francis, baby, what is next?
Well, we've talked about two quotes from Chesterton. We're finally getting around to talking about the man himself. And towering intellect doesn't even do justice to the concept. No. And we're going to talk about him, his wit, his aphorisms, his towering intellect next episode. So be here.
Outstanding. Hope you enjoyed another pointless discussion of eternal questions. Remember, new episodes published every Friday at noon Eastern.
Spread the word. We're on all the major podcast platforms. And leave us a comment or review because that helps others find us.
We're on Instagram, Twitter, as well as our website, snakesandotters.com.
I'm Martin.
And I'm Robert.
And I'm Francis. Join us next week. Same snake time, same otter channel.